Welcome back. Let's talk editing. I recently had the pleasure of shooting with Tiffany, who was visiting the area and booked me for a session. For this session, we shot both digital and film. This offered an opportunity to truly compare what you can do on the editing side to help your digital photos achieve that film-like look. So let's get straight into it. Alright, the first thing I like to do when editing my photos to look like film is desaturate the colors. Let's take a look here at the two photos. This one's the digital, and the second one is going to be the film here. As you can see, pretty similar. First thing I like to do, like I said, is desaturate the colors. Film, as you can see, often has very muted tones, but you don't want to overdo it. I like to keep it sweet and subtle. As you can see here, most of the colors are desaturated. What I like to do is choose a color I want to focus on and then remove the saturation of the other tones here. I often like to focus on the skin or the outfit. As you can see, very desaturated, but the skin pops out. If you push it too much, it's going to begin to look very much like a spray tan or like an orange tone. You don't want that. It's not really appealing on the skin. Another trick that I like to do here on the skin tones is I actually drop the luminance. It gives that orange tan look, very natural. But of course, if you over push this, it's just not going to look good at all. So I keep it very subtle. I'm not a big fan of yellows, so I usually desaturate that, yellows and greens. As you can see here in the film, it does have a bit more of a pop in the greens. I definitely could do that. It would not be too hard. You would just pump the greens up more to a green, and then you would pump up the colors of the saturation a bit. But like I said, as you can see in my comparison, I do think that this just has too many colors that are popping out. So I usually desaturate the greens. It just has a more subtle tones on the skin there. The tone curve plays a major role in your edits. I like to cap the whites and the blacks, so it's not really a true white or black here. This is similar to how film processes itself. I don't want to go too far and give it a faded look, right? I don't like that. Just enough that negates the perfection of these modern day sensors here. As you can see, my tone curve is not too drastic either. It's pretty simple. I do put a little bit more work on the RGB curves there. As I've been editing more, I've realized the RGB curves just have so much power on the color grade. I'm going to show you the before and after. It's pretty drastic, not only in the tones, of course, but in the colors. An extra pro tip, if you're color grading, go to the color grading tab here. A lot of film can often have green hues in the highlights. I like to apply that very minimally there. This is a big key in my edits. It's intentionally breaking the rules. As you can see, this is the digital image, and this is going to be the film image. The film image is a little bit more punchy. I probably could pump up the exposure a bit to match that, but I did like a bit more of a contrasty look here. I do believe these have a little bit different lighting. I believe there's a bit more overcast on this one, but we did our best to match the vibe there. The key in terms of breaking the rules is I often like to overkill my highlights. If you make your photos look perfectly exposed, it won't give off that vintage look. And what makes film really great often is the character and imperfections it represents. So I like to overpeak my highlights a bit. And it definitely makes the skin help pop out a bit more on those skin tones. Oftentimes now it will be set after grading your image with 3 of those elements. But if you want a final secret weapon, you're going to want to check this out. Alright, Dehancer sponsored this video and asked me to review their Lightroom plugin. If you use Lightroom now, you'll see you have a very minimal amount of options in terms of grain and vintage elements. Dehancer takes this to the next level. What surprised me first was the variety of film profiles here that you can use. It gives you a nice starting point for your edit. And as you can see, they break down every feature of film into categories that you can adjust the edit here. This film developer tab here has been my moneymaker. It gives me those film skin tones that I sometimes just can't get right on Lightroom. It just offers a lot of different options here. Then the film grain tab has lots of more options than Lightroom if you really want to fine tune your grain. As you can see here, it has a lot of different variety as well. You can choose different film ISOs and different millimeters of grain, and then there's all different options in terms of size, amount, resolution, shadows, midtones, highlights. You can see here it makes small but subtle differences. Dehancer, I don't want to use it to make a major drastic change in my image, but I would put it in here to make some minor minimal, subtle looks. But if you really want your image to stand out, you can go ahead to the Overscan tab, where you can go choose from a variety of different overlays or borders. I remember a few years back, I used to spend money to download these types of overlays. Having Dehancer back then would have saved me money had I known about this app. Something I think people might overlook is a really simple user interface here. It's something I appreciate, not having to feel like I need to learn an entirely new program over from scratch, go watch tutorials to get started. Now with Dehancer, it's easy to use and speaks for itself. You can see the difference from my Lightroom edit to my Dehancer edit. I kept it subtle, but the pro photographers will appreciate it. Now take a look at the raw, the final edit, and a similar image on film. It looks pretty similar there. If you like to post behind the scenes or use your phone to capture content on set, they also have a mobile app that has similar features and is great for simple edits and posting on socials. There you go. That's how I make my digital photos look like film. If you want to give Dehancer a shot, you can use my code to get 10% off and support the channel. Let me know if you'd like more videos like this. And as always, keep creating and see you in the next one.